So, you want to own a ski resort. You can see the whole thing already. The lifts turning against a hard blue sky at 8 in the morning, the corduroy still unbroken, the smell of diesel and pine and wet wool coming off the snowcats as they come down off the hill. A base lodge with a fire going, and your name somewhere on the door. The good years when it snows in November and does not stop, and the parking lot fills at 7 and the town below fills at 5. You will fix the lift that everybody complains about. You will make it what it used to be. That picture is not entirely wrong. Except before any of that, you have to understand that in most of the American West, you will not own the mountain, and your landlord charges rent as a percentage of everything you take in. Before we go further, we should be honest about who you is here. A small hill in western New York changed hands in 2024 for $1,060,000, according to Powder. A functioning regional resort on the Icon Pass, Eldora in Colorado, was approved for purchase by the town of Nederland in 2026 for $120 million, per the Aspen Times. That is your range. If that is not you, and it is not me, then what follows is not a plan. It is a window into a business that a surprising number of very rich people have walked into and walked out of poorer. Here is the number that should stop you. In fiscal 2025, Vail Resorts, the largest and most professionalized operator in the industry, ran its mountain segment on $2,629 million of revenue and generated $821 million of segment EBITDA. That is a margin of 31.2%, and it is genuinely excellent. And then, across the whole resort business, net income attributable to shareholders came to $280 million, against $844 million of resort EBITDA. $564 million vanished between those two lines into depreciation, interest, and tax. That is the ski business in one sentence. It throws off very healthy operating cash, and then the mountain eats most of it. Nobody knows this, because the fantasy is doing all the work. You're not evaluating an asset. You're buying back a specific morning from when you were 9 years old. The market, for the record, is real but small. Ibis World put United States ski and snowboard resorts at $4.4 billion in 2026, growing at a 1.6% compound rate since 2021. The National Ski Areas Association counted 61.5 million skier visits in the 2024 to 2025 season, the second highest total ever recorded, with pass holders accounting for 49% of them. That is a genuinely large and stable market. But market size tells you almost nothing about whether you personally will make money from it. And here it tells you less than usual, because $4.4 billion spread across the industry is not very much money per mountain, and the mountains are not interchangeable. The number the industry actually runs on is called effective ticket price, and it is not the price on the window. Effective ticket price is total lift revenue divided by total skier visits. It is what the average body coming through the gate is actually worth to you. After the season passes, the multi-day deals, the kids, the comps, and the ski clubs have all been blended together. Vail disclosed an effective ticket price of $85.09 for fiscal 2025, up from $73.20 2 years earlier. The National Ski Areas Association puts the industry-wide yield closer to $75 per visit, and those two numbers disagree for a reason worth understanding, which is that Vail owns the mountains people fly to, and the industry average includes every hill with a T-bar and a warming hut. When your effective ticket price starts falling while your visit count holds steady, you are not having a good year. You are discounting to fill a mountain that is not filling itself. And every one of those extra bodies still needs patrol, parking, and a groomed run underneath them. Now the capital. And the reason this section is long is that ski resorts are the rare business where the entry price and the operating cost are the same problem wearing two hats. Start with the shocking variable, which is lifts. In 2024, Bogus Basin in Idaho told the Idaho Statesman it was replacing 2 lifts, and the numbers it gave are the whole story. A fixed grip quad came in around $2.5 million, while initial quotes for a high-speed quad on the same line came back near $6 million. The second lift, Bitterroot, cost about $3.5 million, and the full remodel with terrain work landed around $7 million. Then, in 2025, Wachusett Mountain in Massachusetts installed a single high-speed 6-passenger detachable chair from Doppelmayr for approximately $20 million for one lift. On a mountain in central Massachusetts, hold that against the fact that an entire operating ski area in New York sold for $1,060,000 in 2024. One modern high-speed lift costs about 19 whole small ski areas. That is not a joke about the small ski area. That is the actual cost structure of the business you're buying. and it is why so many of these places are still running lifts that were installed when Nixon was president. Then snowmaking, which is no longer optional anywhere. Snowbrains reported in 2025 that snowmaking systems run from $500,000 to $5 million in capital cost, that resorts spend between $500,000 and $3 million a year on electricity, and that the snowmaking operation itself runs from $100,000 to over $1 million per season. ESPN's figures put seasonal snowmaking spend between $500,000 and $3.5 million. The water side is its own budget line. Roughly 75,000 gallons of water to cover 1 acre with 1 foot of snow and ski areas, pumping somewhere between 50 and 400 million gallons across a season. Look, here's the part that catches most first-time owners off guard. You spend the most on snowmaking in exactly the years when the natural snow does not come, which are also the years the parking lot is empty. The cost is inversely correlated with the revenue. That is a very unusual and very unpleasant shape for a cost line to have. Insurance is the third bucket, and it has history. Snowbrains puts general liability, accident, and property cover at $500,000 to $3 million a year. The reason that number is what it is goes back to 1974, when the Vermont Supreme Court upheld a $1.5 million injury judgment against Stratton Mountain. Reporting from the New England Lost Ski Areas Project holds that the resulting spike in premiums, combined with the arrival of snowmaking as a customer expectation, is what killed the small hill in America. Not competition, insurance, and snow guns. And then maintenance, which is the cost nobody budgets correctly. Snowbrains puts annual lift maintenance and operations at $200,000 to $1 million, depending on how many lifts you run. Every one of those lifts is a state-inspected passenger conveyance, carrying children over rocks in a blizzard, and there is no version of this business where you defer that. Labor is where the margin story gets strange, because on paper the product is close to free. When the lift is already turning, the marginal cost of carrying one more skier up the hill is essentially nothing. A cocktail has ingredients, a lift ride has electricity you were spending anyway. So the gross margin on the 85th dollar of that effective ticket price is close to 100%, which is better than software. And then look what happens to it. Vail's Mountain segment in fiscal 2025 spent $761 million on labor and labor-related benefits, against $2,630 million of revenue. That is 28.9% of every dollar, gone to payroll. Total mountain operating expense was 68.9% of revenue. And these are not high wages. The Bureau of Labor Statistics survey for May 2024 puts lifeguards, ski patrol, and other recreational protective service workers at a mean of $16.68 an hour, or $34,700 a year, and amusement and recreation attendants at $15.07 an hour. You are not paying a lot per person, you are paying a lot of people for 4 months to make a mountain safe. So a near 100% gross margin becomes a 31.2% operating margin, becomes after depreciation and interest, something under 10%. The grocery business runs on 25 to 30% gross, and everyone accepts that grocery is hard. I mean, you have 3 times the gross margin, and you end up in roughly the same place, because the distance between those two numbers is filled with snow guns, chairlift gearboxes, and 18-year-olds in red jackets. Now, the failure rate, and here the folklore is wrong in an interesting direction. The Bureau of Labor Statistics Business Employment Dynamics Data, Table 7, tracks arts, entertainment, and recreation establishments by birth year. Of those opened in the year to March 2019, 82.2% survived 1 year, and 60.2% were still trading 5 years later, so 4 in 10 fail inside 5 years, not 9 in 10. Go out to 10 years, and the 2015 cohort sits at 40.8%. That is not a scare statistic designed to talk you out of anything. It is an honest description of a business where most operators last a while, and then quietly do not. But the real number is the long one. There were roughly 1,000 ski areas operating in the United States in the 1960s. There are about 487 today. The New England Lost Ski Areas Project has documented more than 670 closures in the Northeast alone, and 172 in New Hampshire by itself. And honestly, half of American skiing has already died, and it did not die in a crash. It died one warm February at a time. Which brings us to the thing outsiders never see coming. In most of the American West, you do not own the mountain. There are 122 ski areas operating on National Forest System land, which the Forest Service says accounts for about 60% of the total downhill skiing capacity in the country. Those resorts hold a special use permit. They own the lifts, the lodges, and the snowmaking. They lease the terrain from the federal government. And the rent is written into federal law. Under Title 16, Section 497C of the United States Code, the ski area permit fee is calculated as a percentage of adjusted gross revenue. In brackets, 1.5% on revenue below $3 million, 2.5% between $3 and $15 million, 2.75% between $15 and $50 million, and 4% on everything above $50 million. Look, read that again because there are two knives in it. The first is that the rate goes up as you succeed. Your landlord takes a larger share of your business the better your business gets. The second, and the worst one, is the word gross. It is a percentage of revenue, not of profit. In the season where the snow does not come, where you burn $1 million on snow guns to open 40% of your terrain and lose money on the year, you still write the check. In 2016, according to a speech by then Forest Service Chief Tom Tidwell, those ski area fees came to $45 million, more than timber and every other recreation special use on the entire national forest system combined. So the asset you're buying is not a mountain. It is a permit to operate on someone else's mountain, plus a collection of steel that depreciates in the weather, plus a share of a habit. When Powdr sold Killington and Pico and put Eldora and Mount Bachelor on the block, what changed hands was equipment, a brand, and the right to keep asking. So let us run the actual numbers on two realistic versions of your ski resort. Option 1, the modest version, a small regional area, bought for somewhere between $1 and $8 million, which is the observed range from the Kissing Bridge sale at $1,060,000, the $2.5 million listing near Syracuse, and the roughly $7.5 million it took to acquire and stabilize Black Mountain in New Hampshire. Revenue is genuinely hard to pin down here, and the two authorities disagree. IBIS World counts 305 businesses in the industry, which puts average revenue at $14.4 million, while the National Ski Areas Association counts 487 operating ski areas, which puts it at $9 million. Take the lower one. $9 million of revenue implies about 120,000 skier visits at the industry's $75 yield. Apply Vail's 31.2% mountain margin, which a small independent will almost certainly not achieve, and you get $2,808,000 of EBITDA. Now subtract what the industry says it actually costs to stay in business. The National Ski Areas Association reports resorts reinvested $21.11 per skier visit in 2024 to 2025, about 28% of every ticket dollar. At 120,000 visits, that is $2,533,000 a year of capital spending on your $2.8 million of EBITDA. And that is the answer to why the lifts are all from 1978. There is nothing left. The business does not fund its own renewal, and it never did. Option 2, the premium version. Eldora at $120 million, which the town of Netherland approved in 2026 and intends to fund with municipal bonds serviced by the resort's own lift ticket, rental, and food and beverage revenue through a self-supporting enterprise fund. Set aside how unusual the buyer is. Look at what the structure tells you. Even at that price, the plan is that the mountain services its own debt out of operations. That is a business with real predictable cash flow. It is also a business whose entire year is decided by weather it does not control. In an industry where the National Ski Areas Association measured average snowfall of 150 inches in 2024 to 2025 against a 10-year average of 175. It is a genuinely attractive business on paper and a brutally hard business in practice. And the honest verdict is that at $120 million, you are buying an income stream with a thermometer attached to it. One more thing about cash. In its first fiscal quarter covering August to October, Vail Resorts posted a net loss of $186,800,000. That is not a bad quarter, that is every year. You spend the entire summer and autumn paying for a product you cannot sell yet. The only thing that makes it survivable is that Vail had roughly 2.3 million guests already committed to about $1 billion of non-refundable passes before the first flake fell. If you cannot pre-sell the winter, you finance it, and you finance it in the dark. The ski business works. It works because for about 150 years, people have been willing to travel a long way, in bad weather, at considerable expense, to slide down a hill. And there is no sign whatsoever that this is going to stop. 61.5 million visits in a season with below-average snow is not an industry in decline. It is an industry with a congregation. It does not work the way the fantasy version suggests, which is that you fix the lift everybody complains about and the mountain becomes what it used to be. It works when you have pre-sold the season before you know whether there is a season. It works when your effective ticket price is rising and not just your visit count. It works when you can write a $20 million check for one chairlift and still sleep. It works when the summer business is real and not a press release. It works when you have accepted that in a bad snow year, your costs go up and your revenue goes down at the same time. And it works when you have made your peace with the fact that the mountain is not yours and the rent is a share of everything you earn. Not bad for an industry whose entire product is water, briefly holding still.